The January transfer window. There is business to be done. Funds are low, after the board wasted £2.4 million on new data analysis facilities when I asked them to on a whim. I have already created a shortlist, key among them is Preston's Ben Pearson. He has everything we need, he winds up opponents, argues with officials, dives into tackles, and is one of the league leaders for yellow cards. After some wrangling we agree a reasonable price, only for the bastard to refuse to talk to me, citing Leicester's rumored interest as the reason. This is a major setback, as I'd planned on building my team around him. We also have a bid accepted for dream target Lee Cattermole. He also refuses to talk to us. I once again go in for Scott Brown, only for the same outcome. Why can't these players appreciate the project here at Millwall? Palmeiras reject my bids for Felipe Melo without even negotiating, and Alfredo Morelos is out of our price range to begin with. I'm even scuppered by work permit rules, with yellow card aficionado Baram Kale unable to get a new permit due to his Israeli nationality. One position I haven't done much with is goalkeeper. For the entire month of December, all my scouts are set assignments to find the next Jens Lehmann. They succeed. This guy is beyond my wildest expectations. A goalkeeper who argues with officials and winds up opponents? I feel it is his destiny to play for us. There are, however, two stumbling blocks. He's on a season-long loan, so we'll have to wait until the summer at the earliest. And he plays for Liverpool. They demand £80 million for him. I back down and hope that they're more reasonable at the end of the season. Once it becomes apparent that marquee signings like Pepe will not happen in January, I adjust our focus. We bring in the horrible ball-winning midfielder Richie Smallwood, dives into tackles, striker Joe Garner, argues with officials, winds up opponents, gets crowd going, and forward Lee Tomlin, argues with officials, winds up opponents. They're all around 30 years old, and I pay just over £0.5 million for all three combined. Bargain veteran English shithouses. The fan reaction is unenthusiastic. In terms of outgoings, the fan reaction is even worse. I loan out by far our best centre-half, 24-year-old Jake Cooper, for a £3 million fee, solely because his bravery plummeted after he sprained knee ligaments in November. This is not an easy decision, as his 6 feet 7 inches frame had been key in heading away most crosses into our box, and I worry it will hurt our form, but I take solace in knowing that the squad's average aggression and bravery will rise with him gone. I also sell hard-working striker John Varson. Not only has he failed to learn to dive into tackles, he's a striker who looks for the pass rather than attempting to score. Whatever next? A defender who doesn't like to tackle? Finally, Aidan O'Brien and Sean Williams, two timid players I'd failed to shift in the summer, are offloaded. I have to convince the board to let me sell them for well under market value, but with our league position so good the board are happy to let me do what I want. For some reason the fans think I'm selling players who are good enough to stay and replacing them with aging journeymen. They fail to see the bigger picture. Aggressors assemble. January is something of a letdown. We average a solid 24 fouls a game but fail to win once, receiving at most 3 bookings in any one match. The sale of Jake Cooper is felt in defense, with us conceding 2 goals in most games, but at the other end Joe Garner hits the ground running, scoring 3 and 3. We also travel to Crystal Palace for yet another tough cup draw. The players commit an incredible 41 fouls, setting a new high bar for the season, en route to a respectable 2-1 defeat. Yet again our booking tally, at 3 yellow cards, is disappointingly low. Our poor form means we slip to 6th position, but I'm happy to see that our transfer business has had a positive impact on our average fouls per game. Richie Smallwood is booked on his debut. The fans will come to hate his performances, which usually consist of him being subbed on, fouling the opposition, and getting a 6.4 match rating. He is my Granit Xhaka. Fines, and more fines. February starts with a bang. We win 1-0 at home to West Brom, receiving 6 yellow cards and our 3rd FA fine of the season. Over the month, the side excel themselves, increasing our average fouls per game to 27. We win 5 of the 6 games this month, including a 3-2 victory over Ben Pearson's Preston, leaving them deep in relegation trouble. If they're relegated, I can surely buy him in the summer, even if we fail to get promoted. March brings our fourth FA fine after we received 6 bookings in another dire 1-0 victory, this time against Derby. Richie Smallwood doesn't even have time to get a match rating, but still gets a yellow. As if to prove that the fines won't deter us, the team go one better in the next match, with 5 bookings and a red card, Sean Hutchinson's second of the season. We lose 5-3, but more importantly we take home the prize of disciplinary action in successive games for the first time. Tactical evolutions. Though on the whole the initial tactical decision to go with a gegenpress-based 5-3-2 has worked, I am always seeking to improve ways in which we can foul, both in terms of the quality and quantity of our fouls. One issue had been our somewhat patient build-ups, due to the positive mentality I had set. A team cannot foul the opposition if the opposition doesn't have the ball. I am reluctant to simply park the bus, since sitting back all game only invites inevitable goals and defeats, but a low block also reduces the team's pressing and therefore the foul count. I decide to take a more nuanced approach and change to a balanced mentality. Hopefully this speeds our attacks up a little, reduces our possession, yet keeps us in with a chance of winning the games. In addition, I decide to use January's signing Lee Tomlin, signed almost entirely because of his shithouse traits rather than his actual ability, in his preferred central attacking midfield position. I originally intended to force him to play up front, but my striker's card count is unremarkable, and I figure another body in the midfield might help our combativeness there. I retain our 5-3-2 as an option, switching between them if games are too sporting, and over the remainder of the season having these variations does help, though no formation is notably better than the other for fouls produced. 1 week one formation will work wonders, the next week the other will work better. If I can keep the opposition guessing a little, maybe that alone is enough to up our foul count. The home straight. With 6 games remaining we're still in 5th place. The automatic spots are probably out of reach, but as long as our form remains half decent we should be able to keep our playoff position. Disappointingly, we look like falling some way short of the 158 yellow cards target I'd set at the start of the year. We pick up 11 bookings in the first 4 fixtures, winning both home games and losing the away games despite taking early leads in both. We need to win one of the final 2 games to book our playoff spot. I'm bullish in our press conferences and aggressive in the team talks. I want us to do this in true Millwall style. My team does not disappoint. The QPR game turns into a brutal slog, we commit 31 fouls and get 5 bookings, and the game looks to be ending goalless before Lee Tomlin bundles in the winner in the 90th minute. The final game is a freebie at home to Huddersfield. For a bit of fun I experiment with 5 ball-winning midfielders and a lone target man whom we hoof the ball up to all game. We see the league season out in style, injuring Ignacio Abate and receiving 6 bookings in a 0-0 draw. The FA fine us for the 6th time.
The playoff battles against all reasonable expectations we somehow qualify for the playoffs, getting a tough draw against Brentford. Both previous fixtures had ended 1-0 to the home team, and I expect these games to be just as tight. There's so much at stake. I would have been delighted with a top half finish, but now we have a chance at reaching the Premier League and potentially signing stars like Ashley Barnes. I worry that defeat now will cast a shadow over what we've achieved this season. All those fouls would mean nothing. The first leg is at home. We're under the cosh from the start but battle bravely. The players seem to treat these games as bonus fixtures to improve our fouls and bookings, picking up a season-high 9 yellows and 1 red, Sean Hutchinson's third of the year, before narrowly losing 1-0. In the return leg we go a goal down early on, before Shane Ferguson is sent off just before halftime. Promotion is fading away, but the players go out in the second half and do what they do best: hack the opposition to bits. To my delight, the commentator claims my players are losing their discipline. Our promotion hopes are over, but rather than being gutted, I'm proud of the team. The final 3 games saw us pick up 3 disciplinary fines in a row, hitting £40,000 in fines for the year, and bringing our total yellow cards to an impressive 156, the side committing over 1,000 fouls along the way. Rather than a disappointing finish to the year, I see the potential in this side. I want us to come back next year and challenge for even more yellow cards and commit even more fouls. End of season stats and awards. The final league table and stats are below, but I want to nominate some players first for their commitment to the cause. Player of the season. This has to be our left wing back Shane Ferguson. Not only did he receive the most cards in the team, with 17 yellows and 1 red, he also scored 8 goals, half of them from direct free kicks, and had our highest average rating. An easy choice. Signings of the season. The actual choice for this is obviously our 18-year-old French center midfielder Ibrahim Karamoko, signed for an expensive £7.5 million from Chivo. He immediately learned to dive into tackles and received 15 bookings and 1 red over the year. He's one for the future, and I'm hopeful he can learn to argue with officials soon, having been mentored by Darren Fletcher all year. I also want to nominate Joe Garner, signed for £140k from Wigan. The board and fans didn't see his potential, but despite his age, he scored 7 goals in 16 games and even learned to dive into tackles, despite my coaches being adamant that he was too old to learn new skills. Game of the season against some tough contenders. Our League Cup defeat to Watford stands out the most for our 2 straight red cards. Neither Ben Thompson and Ryan Leonard played enough minutes to receive a match rating, yet were both sent off for needlessly aggressive fouls in the center of the park. The true Millwall way. Final stats.